I mean, how do I describe it? It's
bold,
a light,
black,
unapologetically black,
very funny, amusing,
caring,
You give great advice from a different perspective. Passionate,
free.
vulnerable,
a creative,
sexy.
My girl is lit as fuck.
Always ready to twerk a little something.
genuine, very genuine,
resilient,
like sixth sense, otherworldly. If you know, you know.
it's so vibrant, baby. Hello everyone, and welcome to So Vibrant, the place where music, history, and culture collide. I'm your host, Lady AC, and guys, we have officially made it to the final days of 2024. Man, it has been a year. I mean, there's really no more to say to that. I mean, there's a lot more you can really say, but I think collectively, if we haven't learned anything else, we have to understand that life, as we know it, as we have lived it in past years, has got to change. And when I say change, I mean change in every sense of that meaning of that word. But before getting into that, I want to say Happy Kwanzaa to all my black people. Habar Ghani. What's the good news? By the time of this recording, it was Kuji Chakalia was the principle of the day, which basically translates to self-determination. And at the time of you hearing this podcast, it is Ujima, which represents collective work and responsibility. And I think both of those principles are an amazing reflection of today's show, because today is also the season finale of So Vibrant. This podcast has been definitely a life-changing moment for me, because I literally manifested this. Because I remember years ago when I had this idea and I was talking about it with very close friends or just people who I was mentoring under or working with, and how it went from literally an idea that was in my head, and now it's an actual platform that I have been consistently producing, creating, is not only so amazing, but I'm extremely grateful for. And because of that, that's why I did make the decision to step back and kind of end this as season 1 and really take time to research, create more content, create more ideas, so that way I can continue to grow and expand this platform and live up to the responsibility of the things that I have determined, not only for myself, but for my role in the community and the world around me. So once again, like I said, you see how I weaved in my principles right there? Because that's really pretty much how it was. And I think the end of the year always gives me that time to really reflect on that. So hence today's episode, I wanted to also make it a little special by including you all in a special ritual that I do at the end of the year, or within the last few days of the end of the year, which I like to call Ancestral Reflection. Ancestral Reflection is basically where I would sit with myself, my ancestors. Within the last recent years, I've expanded that to kind of do that with like very close friends. And we would sit and talk about our lessons and the things we went through throughout the year, themes we learned, the things we can take away, and then what of all those things, what we tend to do moving into the next year. So after our musical break, we're going to go right into my themes of 2024, because man, I've definitely learned some. So we'll be right back.
What did I do? I must be losing my mind. Last night
especially when the tequila hits. Most people don't know what I'm saying. When I'm ahead, I never learn to quit. So I'm up and down, making all the rounds, trying not to forget anybody's name. Then I talk so loud, pushing through the crowd. When I wake up the very next day, I'm asking myself, what did I do? Oh, no, no, no. Was I a fool? Oh, no, no, no. Last night, I won't pretend it didn't happen. I'm sure I said some shit that I don't mean. I couldn't tell why they were laughing. Nah, it's crystal clear now that the joke's on me. So I'm up and down, making all the rounds, trying to clean up the mess that I made. And I know I'm proud, but embarrassed now. I'm always acting this way. What did I do? Oh, no, no, no. Was I a fool? Oh, last night. So I'm up and down, making all the rounds, trying to leave with my man in my veins. But I can't go now, 'cause I've got a crowd. Another round or three. What did I do? Oh, no, no, no. You think that they'll remember me? Was I a fool? What did I do? Was I a fool?
Once or twice before.
And that was the live version of Raquel Rodriguez singing Last Night. Had a nice little groove right there, didn't it? So what's very special about the songs that I picked today is that the songs for my musical highlights are actually songs that my ancestors picked. So through our conversations and getting the show ready together, I reached out to them and say, hey, what songs do y'all like and y'all feeling right now, or that you've heard me play or have in my playlist? And so the songs I'm playing today are the ones they picked, and that was definitely one of them. And my ancestors, they love to dance. Hence, my family, we love dancing. So anything with a groove, a two-step, anything you can move to, definitely is a song that they were gonna pick, and that one they definitely groove to. But what also the reason they picked that song is because when you really listen to that lyrics of what she's talking about, she basically is speaking on how trying to figure out what did she do last night. Cause so pretty much from what it sounds like, maybe she went to a party or she went out and she couldn't recount the way she behaved. And so she was so confused on trying to figure out, like, what did I do? What happened? Like, I know something happened. Like people were responding to her differently or looking at her differently or laughing at her, as she's saying. And so she's stumbling around trying to figure out, like, what did I learn? What did I do? How did I move? Where did I go? Like, what did I do last night? And my ancestors kind of pointed out how that's how I think collectively we all kind of been in 2024. Is that we're constantly this year searching to make sense of a lot of the things that were going on around us, to make sense of ourselves, to make sense of what was happening in the world around us, in the community around us, what was happening with others, and really just trying to be like, what is going on? What is being revealed to me right now? What is being revealed to us right now? And with that, there were a lot of themes this year that I recognized or saw playing out within my life that became lessons. So I wanted to share those themes and talk about the lessons that they all kind of represented. The very first thing that I learned this year was love is enough. Living a love life. This year really had me focusing on what was love for me. What does it mean to really live a love life? And how it started is I realized, especially last year, coming into 2024, that I was losing the love for myself. And in order to truly change and grow in my life, I had to gain that love for myself back first. Because, as they popularly say, how can you love someone else if you don't love yourself? And I do want to make a distinction that just because you have not figured out, how to love yourself, that doesn't mean you are less desirable for love or less ready for it or aren't able to have it. But what that means is that you are the one that set the standard of how that love comes and how that love functions in your life. So how can you do that if you don't set that up for yourself? That's what that saying means. But I think a lot of people tend to do the latter. So that's why I wanted to really make that distinction. Because honestly, I couldn't really grow. I couldn't really move. I couldn't really accept the greatness of myself. And honestly, to prepare myself to do this podcast, if I didn't truly understand the worthiness of love that I needed. And so what I did was I came into this year reconnecting with things that I loved, that made me love myself. And one of those things was reading. I started really, because when I was younger, I love books. I love to read different stories, especially the picture books, the fairy tales, and different things like that. But then it grew into very imaginative, ancestral, cultural books that told the different folk tales and the different how things became to be and all those things, and only expanded as I continued reading. But with life happening, I kind of fell off. And so last year I had planned to connect back with that love. And so what I did was I would read a book a month. And coming into 2024, the book I was reading was the classic Bell Hooks, All About Love. And that book really shaped a lot of the groundwork of how I realized that love is enough. Because the entire work of Bell Hooks is basically talking about her journey and the research of finding a true, real, authentic love and creating a love life for yourself. And she definitely highlights on the fact of that love starts with the self. She talks about a lot of things, but that was definitely one of those things. You have to have the foundation of love for yourself. And so in my journey of reading that book and understanding, and I kind of talk about this in episode 7 of how we had so many people pass, some of these great legends pass, because I think Bell Hooks was one of those people who passed within the last year or so, and just the work that they leave behind. And I think the goal of them leaving that work behind is for us to take what they've done and propel it forward, but within myself first. One of the first things Bell Hooks talks about in her book is about the ability to define things. The importance of giving something a definition gives it substance, makes it tangible for you to actually have something to build upon. But you can't do that unless you actually define what that is. And so a lot of the beginning journey of having this love life that I wanted, I had to define what love is. And as a result of defining what love is, that's how I realized and grew to realize that love is enough. My definition of love is the active choice to apply affection, care, responsibility, and knowledge, enriching the spiritual well-being of the self and others. I realized that I had to continually and consistently commit to that choice. To commit to constantly giving love in a lot of circumstances that were difficult, that were challenging, and that were unfathomable, and yet still coming out on top, realizing that I was worthy and ready for love. Because for me, and as you can tell by that definition, love is more than just a feeling. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of what, and Bell Hooks talks about this too, is a lot of things, especially in our society, in the community around us, a lot of people tend to reduce love to a feeling, how it makes them feel when they have it, or how confusing it can be because they do that. Like, they say things like, you can't help who you love or how you love it. When if you define love for what it is and how you use it and how it functions in your life and how it functions in honestly in any capacity, you actually can, because you realize the power that's in it. And honestly, another thing that makes it important to define it is that it gives it the power that it deserves and that it already has. Because Bell Hooks does talk a lot about the power of love, how powerful it is. And people who understand that, you'll constantly hear them say, or you hear a lot of theorists, a lot of people who understand love will say, talk about the power of love. And so that became a question for me this year. It was like, how is love powerful? How is it? How does it become that? And it becomes that because we start to define it and we start to embrace it and grow and expand on it, and then we start to live it and act it. And I was able to understand, okay, what does affection mean? What does care mean? What does responsibility mean? What does knowledge mean? And then those became umbrella terms for all the different things that we associate when it comes to love and the feelings and everything. And honestly, if we reduce love to a feeling, no wonder we collectively as a society view love the way we do, because it's so much more than that. While it includes feelings, it's not that. And those attitudes of when people say love is not enough, you also have to do this, or you also have to make these choices or do all these things, or understand that people are individuals, or that they grow, or that they change. But that's the thing, love does encompass that. Love does understand that society has pressure. Love does understand that there are tough choices and conversations to make. Love understands that conflict will happen. And that does have a lot to do with the way love is portrayed in media, in the content we consume, in the generational patterns that we've acknowledged in our rearing or our upbringings, how love is used and manipulated in some cases and portrayed. Honestly, those foundations of love start in a lot of our childhoods. And that's why when people talk about it, it's so important to heal those inner children, or to look back at your childhood to correct the wounds, or see patterns that you have in your life, or why it's so important to make content age appropriate, or have conversations at certain times in children's lives or let children experience certain things or not experience certain things at different times is because of that. Because of how tender and emerging that time is, because it literally sets the foundation of how those children grow up into adults. And that's why we see the adults that we do now. That's why we see a lot of the things we do now. I had to continually love myself and continually embrace my spirituality, embrace different parts about me, embrace the people who chose to not understand me, embrace the people who did understand me. To love myself enough to know I deserve better, to love myself enough to know I had the power to create the world I wanted to live in, the life I wanted to live. I had the power to also not deal with the things I had been dealing with. That kind of moved into my next theme, which is reclaiming my power. There is this special communication exercise that I do with my ancestors when I meditate, and we call it the call and response activity. And in this call and response, they would each come up to me and say, "Who are you?" And then I would have to respond with something letting them know of who I am. So for instance, it would be like, like someone would be drumming, or I would hear like the drum beats or something like that. And one at a time they'll come up to me, "Who are you?" And I would say, "I'm kind." "Who are you?" "I'm love journalism." "Who are you?" "I want to start a podcast." "Who are you?" "I'm great." "Who are you?" And they would just keep going until I got to the answers they were really genuinely looking for. The purpose of that practice was really, they were causing me to dig deep within myself to really unlock the power that was within me. Because at first when I was doing it, I was trying to describe myself. I was trying to, it's kind of like, when you in the interview and they ask you, "Okay, so tell me about yourself." And you know how your mind kind of go blank for that second, because now you got to recount everything about yourself and what's relevant, what's not. It was kind of that same kind of weird anxiety to do that. But the purpose of that was to see why you hesitant to claim what's already within you. You got that from us and just grew in that. So why are you hesitant in doing that? And let's get to the root of why you're hesitant to know that, or why you don't even know that, or why you have the hard time answering this question. And so throughout this year, I had to go through different experiences to reclaim that power, or those parts of myself that added to my power. Healing different inner child wounds that started to show up in my life. Healing money wounds. Yes, you can have wounds with money and experiences and different individuals or different relationships, or having wounds with love, having wounds with connection, having wounds with or connections with trauma or connections with toxicity, anything like that. And so really learning what were the roots of those, how to identify them, how they show up now, what they look like now. And in that, I realized a lot of the things I've been through in my life, I never really felt or dealt with, because during those times I was going through them. And I talk about this in episode 2 of the Good Girl Syndrome, the Good Girl Confessions. Going through that is that there were a lot of things that I allowed to happen to me because I had somehow convinced myself I deserved it. The reality was, and especially what my ancestors definitely want me to know, was that that was not true. You did not come here to suffer. You did not, and God would not bring you here and put you through things intentionally to make you suffer. No, God's will is for what you've done with that. It's what you continue to do with that. So how do you get to this point where you doubt that power that was created in you through him and brought out through us? How? How do you disconnect from that? Some people, it can be as a weird kind of badge of honor to show that, they suffered so much and they overcame. Whereas in some cases, or in my case, it was more of I survived it, so now I'm here. This is what's left as a result of it. So I'm trying to manage what I'm dealing with or went through. But yet I'm still carrying that with me. Shout out to the bag lady, Erica Badu. Basically, I was a bag lady. Why you holding all them bags? Why you carrying them bags? Yeah, you made it through it, but why you still holding the bag? Like, let it go. In that case, you need to lose the bag. Get rid of the bag. It's something like one of my ancestors would say outside, lose the bag. You don't need the bag. Let it go. I know your generation's obsessed with chasing the bag. This is a bag you gotta let go of. I love it. I say that's their humor. I promise you. But in all honesty, it was just of learning to cut those ties. So then what would happen is that I would come up on these situations again that will remind me of the things I've been through. And the goals became, now that you know, now how are you going to move? Now that you've done this before, what choice are you going to make different? And yes, those choices are going to be scary, are going to be nerve-wracking, are going to cause you to definitely step out on faith, literally, and literally not see the next step. But you are expected to make a choice regardless. So which choice would you rather make? One that will continue to keep you holding on to the bags, that will continually keep you lying to yourself? Or are you going to finally step in your truth and trust on that? Because that definitely was another big theme this year. Truth. Everybody talk about Prophet Cat Williams and how he opened this door of truth. But if anything, I think this year was just the exposure of truth. Of so much things. People have gotten too comfortable over the years of living in their lies, of thriving off of lies. But at the same time, well, I say thriving with air quotes because how can you really thrive on a lie? You can't, because eventually that lie is going to be revealed to be what it is. You end up even worse than before you even told the lie to begin with. Personally, I can admit there were times I was truly lying to myself about myself. I was literally lying so much that I literally forgot the things I had done, the things I had accomplished. So when other people told me things about myself, because I had so ingrained that lie, that I believed what they were saying. Because I had accepted the lies I was telling myself. So obviously, if I accept the lies I tell myself, I'll accept the lies that other people tell me about myself, or about situations, or about things. And ultimately, there's no way to live, because eventually those lies will eat you up. And there'll literally be nothing left for you but what is literally being fed to you. So as a result of claiming that power, I had to start telling myself the truth. Telling myself that, wait, you're greater than this. Wait, you've done this before. Wait, hold on. That person told you or treated you like you haven't been here before. Like you haven't made money. You haven't been successful. You haven't been able to do media or journalism or create podcasts before. You've done this before. So why you keep lying that you can't? Why you keep lying and think your life can't be great? as I stopped lying to myself, the lies around me started to break down too. And in some cases, it became harder to break, because sometimes when you start telling yourself the truth, you're going into a world that has accepted lies, who values lies over truth. So when you emerge in those systems, you automatically become a target. That was an unfortunate side effect, but honestly, when I look back, it really wasn't unfortunate, because it kept me from going down routes that had no benefit to me. My ancestors knew. God knew. But I just need to know for myself. But that leads me into my last point, which is create your own joy and happiness. And I talk about this in last week's episode, the holiday episode, of how this year has really pushed us to really define what happiness looks like, what joy looks like, what success looks like, what our best selves can look like, what failure look like, what loss look like, what any of those ways. We really have the choice to create that within ourselves and within the world around us. And I think there is a great push through this system of white supremacy and patriarchy and all that to really deny us of that power, to really scare us out of that power, because they understand that if as a collective we understand that, we have no need for those structures to exist anymore. We have no need for those structures to be in power over us and tell us how to do and move and everything. And I saw something on social media that said, these entities need us. We don't need them. But in order for them to survive, they need us to continue to not know. Because they want to keep the power. They want to keep things the way they are. They want to continue to keep thriving off of our misery and our hurt and our pain and our confusion and our hatred. And the hatred, period. We have the power to create the lives we want. How do I know that? It's because it's already within us. It's already around us. There are some of the worst things in life happening around us right now. And yet, in those things happening, there are people who especially are experiencing those things, able to find moments to keep going and to keep fighting. For instance, like with the tragedies of the genocides going on in Palestine, Congo, Sudan, Paraguay, New Zealand, Hawaii, Haiti, all these different places. But there will always be moments on social media I will also see children playing, people cooking, people teaching. You'll see some people doing like their cultural songs or their cultural dances, their chants, or keeping their practices alive amongst themselves, or sharing them, or teaching younger generations those, or teaching the history. And in those moments, you still see them, or even in the worst part of it. Like, for instance, like the one that really rocked me to the core of this genocide in Palestine, of these journalists that are constantly being killed. They still push to tell the truth of what's happening, knowing the outcome it could bring. And yet, they still choose to show the truth of what's going on over there, despite the lies that are being told in place of it. I feel that is an energy that we need to take to be able to create the love, the life, the happiness, the fight, the perseverance, the power for ourselves to do better and make better and truly accept change to be better. It's not lost on me. There is a difficulty in that, because, for instance, in looking at the different genocides in Congo and in Sudan and in Palestine, who wants to die? I know we have to, but who wants to put that risk? Who wants to risk that? Who wants to be slandered? Who wants to be demonized? Who wants to be arrested? Who wants to be made into a public pariah and paraded around as an example to discourage other people from doing it? Who wants that? Who willingly wants that? But I think what happens is an understanding of the power you have within yourself, the power you have within your own capacity, your ability to create, your ability to grow, your ability to contribute. And when you get connected with that, there is no shutting it off. There is no going back. Going back to my episode 1, there is no going back once you know what you're supposed to do. Once you understand what your assignment is, you can't go back. Because once you accept it, you have to live in it. You have to honor it. Because through that, you honor the people that came before you that put that there. You honor the creator or whoever you believe who put that there and created you to do that. And to quote my ancestor, Mac Miller, the greatest disservice we can do against God is to go against the very thing he created in us to do. So why not live up to it? Another thing that also can make that difficult is creating a comfort zone. Our comfort zones are our first safe space. That is the place where we are the safest in moving and making decisions and growing and learning and loving. And it does serve that purpose because that's where you nurture yourself and you build on yourself and you start to define. That's where you learn to define things and where you understand. But the reason it's important to get out of those because just as everything around you changes, so do you. Because once again, to reiterate from episode 6 with Professor Lavelle, if you don't grow, then the only thing after that is death. It could create a lot of fear to want to stop us, to want to stop yourself. But you have to understand that fear, that anxiety is there as not only a caution for you to be aware, but also we can't let that caution become a reason we stop. We have to push forward. We have to keep going because on the other side of that is where we reach the true destiny that we're meant to be, the true person we're meant to establish, the true purpose that we're meant to fulfill, that we're designed to fulfill, that we're designed to give. And as a result of that, we can create and move and be the change that we want to see in the world. Not to sound cliche, but ultimately connecting us to a power that nobody can take away from you. That's for me, I think, was the best powerful lesson of understanding all 3 of these lessons. Is that once I got to this point, can't no one take that away from me. No one. You know, with all the uncertainty of what next year can bring, I want the thing I'm 100% clear about to be myself. That core is not going to be shaken because that foundation is solid. And I thank this year for teaching me how to be that.
So I might be ready to take my
And that was Be My Fiasco featuring Jawan MP3 with Might Be Ready. And I definitely picked that song not only for just how amazing Be My Fiasco is, and shout out to her for this new album because it was amazing. But I love how basically she talks in that song about how she had to take control of her life and get her life back and do these different things to grow and imagine and be her best self and live the life that she wants and deserves. And I want that for you guys. I want that for all of us. Anyone listening to my voice right now, I want that for all of us. I hope that by listening to this podcast that you feel some kind of stability in yourself as well, of going into next year to be able to do the same and accomplish the goals and themes that you have and want to be and want to experience, and ultimately define the power that you already and everyone around you and above you and who created you knows you have. So on that note, guys, that is the end of season 1. So vibrant. Woo! Oh, we here, y'all. We made it. And it's only gonna get better from here. If you would like to connect with me, or just say hey, on Facebook.com, it is Queen Lady AC. On Instagram, it is _ I am Lady AC. And Twitter is I am Lady AC as well. Alright? Alright. Don't be shy now. So until February of 2025, y'all. I'll see you then.